It's Dr. Gordon Lynda coming at you from Southeastern Fertility. Happy Friday, Lynda.
Happy Friday.
Facebook Friday. Here we are. It's actually Friday this week, isn't it?
It is actually Friday.
You see
this week, Friday.
Hundreds of thousands of views from last week's comedy routine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and you got several calls from producers who wanted you to star in your own reality show.
How much they paying?
Oh, they wouldn't pay you. So now what we're paying. Do we pay you now?
Well, I hope so.
We do? I think just because you loved it. Anyway, that's all right.
Where's that leaf blower?
It's the management device. The Southeastern management device. That's right. So I just wanted to talk a little about, obviously sometimes things go great and sometimes they don't go great, right? In life, right? So look at this little picture here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here we have this bear and two cubs, right?
Right.
But that could be also a bear and two people, right? You know that old joke when you're running away from the bear, you don't have to be faster than the bear.
Just faster than the person with you.
That's right. So I was just thinking like that, looking at that picture, thinking like, well, that guy, he's in better shape because he's getting up the tree, but the guy's on the ground, not so much.
See, you are looking at things as is.
Yeah.
My imagination is imagine a person way up in that tree.
Oh, even further up in the tree.
And the bears are coming up
Oh, that could be. So that's good.
Let's see all
that's
kinds
good.
of pictures in the clouds
That's
too.
good. And then the other guy, maybe eaten. Exactly. Well, so sometimes things don't go as planned, right? And so we were just sort of thinking as I was out of town for a couple of days, and I came back, and we're sort of dealing with some cycles in IVF, right? And sometimes we have to make a decision that's a tough decision, right, in terms of not proceeding along with the treatment, right? We don't do just IVF, but we do talk a lot about IVF. But I'm just saying it's hard when you're so excited, right? So as a nurse, like, give me some reasons to maybe why your IVF cycle might get canceled or postponed. What are the type of things that we've seen? And we see it all the time, but in this week we've seen some of them.
The follicle's not responding.
Right. Firstly, right.
Responding.
Didn't respond. Right. Patients always over-responded, and now they're under-responding. Right. And so we've had some discussions about different protocols and how you respond to one protocol may be different than how you respond to a different protocol. Right. So it's kind of like cooking.
And to make it harder, the protocol that they respond to in one way, the same protocol the next cycle they might not respond to.
Exactly, right. Sometimes it's just hard. It's hard to anticipate, right? So under responsiveness to protocol. What are some other things?
Sometimes things develop like problems with the uterus and the lining.
Right. So don't like the lining, right? Say, well, this lining, is too thin, so we might have to retrieve and freeze embryos, or retrieve and freeze eggs, or sometimes there's fluid in the lining, which sometimes will go away after retrieval. So sometimes we have to monitor that afterwards. Sometimes we get linings that we see a fibroid that we didn't anticipate. Let's talk about, now if there's a polyp or fibroid, so issues with lining. What about baseline ultrasound? Why do we do baselines? What are we looking for?
We want to make sure everything is baseline.
Right.
No big active follicles.
Right.
The lining is thin. The estradiol level is low.
Exactly. So I call patients this time around on the pill. Pill's supposed to suppress ovulation and come in their baseline. Big wonking follicles. Right, and so sometimes we can actually say, well, that's not a good cycle for IVF, but it's not a bad IUI cycle or time intercourse cycle, so can't explain why you didn't suppress, but let's go ahead and use it. So we do have sometimes some fallback position in terms of that, right? So other things, sometimes we have excessive responsiveness. Somebody is just exploding, right? And we have risks of hyperstimulation syndrome, which is very unpleasant. So sometimes we see it coming, we decide that we just can't go forward the cycle, or maybe we could retrieve but not do a transfer. Right. So all these things, and it is hard though to stop that train as it's going along, right? And it's hard, and the patients feel really bad, like I did something wrong, right? So like I did, maybe you don't know, but I did Invisalign or Invisalign type treatment for my braids. I was bad. Doctors are the worst patients, right? So I was terrible, even as a child, terrible orthodontist patient, okay? And I'm paying for it now. So I said, well, maybe I should go ahead and do something with pandemic. Of course, by the time I got around with it, masks were gone, so now I'm stuck like with the stupid braces and Invisalign. But initially we were doing the Invisalign, and the darn little plastic trays, I kept splitting, okay? And I went to the doctor, I said, I put it, he's just looking at me like, are you taking them out roughly? I said, I don't even know. What does that mean, taking out roughly? I mean, I had to pull it off my teeth. And they kept splitting. And he was like, well, you're doing something wrong. And I was like, I swear, I'm doing it right. He's like, well, I don't know if you're doing it right. I said, well, I don't know. It just doesn't happen. And I went back a couple of weeks later. He's like, we checked with the company, and they had outsourced to a different manufacturer. And said, oh, yeah, we're getting all these reports. He said, I said, well, now I feel better. I felt terrible. He said, oh, you felt bad? I go, yeah, because you made me feel bad. Like I've done something wrong. It's my fault, right? So I want try to emphasize the patient. It isn't your fault, right? If your cycle goes off the rails, well, I mean, rarely it's their fault. But it's almost always not their fault, right? It's just biology, right? It's biology. It's crazy, right? It just happens. So we don't like it when things get canceled. Sometimes it's too many, sometimes it's too few, sometimes it's not. And again, that's okay. We usually can come up with a way to get to the finish line and get what we need to get. But sometimes
it's really hard for the patients when they have psyched themselves up and they're doing this and they're doing this right and they're doing this right. And it's like yanking the rug out from under them. And I hate it for them. That's right, exactly. And I try to get that news myself because I know it's hard as a nurse to tell them that. Yeah. And sometimes I wish I didn't have to, but sometimes you have to put on your big boy pants and tell people what sometimes they don't want to hear. And I hear you. I don't want to say it either, but sometimes that is the right thing to say. So anyway, so it's just not to be Debbie Downers here, but sometimes things don't go the way we hope, but that doesn't mean there's no hope for the future. Right? So you just have to say, well, this cycle may not be what we wanted, but there is the next cycle. There is the next cycle, right? Mm-hmm. And with that in mind, actually we have a special presentation for Mark because just like there's always another cycle, I understand that as a cat lover, Mark knows that there's always another cat.
Oh,
so we
brother!
Have this wonderful T-shirt, especially for Mark, who loves felines.
Oh
like
my
you just
word!
Can't believe. So
oh my gosh! And he even got all the numbers right on it.
So I think that.
Oh my word!
So don't you, if
word!
there's stray cats out there, don't you think that people should donate those cats to Mark?
Yes.
As a cat daddy. So I'm not a cat owner, so I can't really say anything about. We're a dog family, but I'd like to present that to Mark so he has that in recognition of his wonderful service as a cat daddy.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, and their photographer and
all the other things he does. That's right. So he might cancel the next cat adoption. Is my understanding, but I don't know if that's true or not. So,
they've ruined my life. Animals have ruined my life. Don't get me started.
Animal lover, really. ASPCA would love this man. Exactly, he loves them. Everyone, send your funny cat videos to Mark so that he, in fact, is not doing the work during the day and just watches cat videos all day long. Right? I mean, that's a great way to spend your career. Right? So, well, anyway, that's all I got. Lynda and I will be here this week. Are you here this weekend?
I'm here this weekend.
We're here this weekend for our patients. So anyway, everyone else enjoying the beautiful weather. The show will be beautiful because we're here. But we'll see you next Friday. So don't get canceled and adopt cats and send them Mark. Okay, bye. All right.
Hold on.